Peptides are everywhere right now, so let's talk about what they can actually do for your libido, your drive, your desire, and what they can't. I'm Dr. Willow Brown. I'm here with Leah Piper. We are Sex Reimagined, and we're so excited that you're here.
You know, before we jump into the juicy world of peptides, we have a little free juicy yumminess for you. If you go to sexreimagined.com/free-tantric-kissing-training right now, we are going to give you all the hottest tips to being a masterful tantric kisser. These things are going to blow your mind. And if you've ever dreamed of being someone's absolute best all-time kisser, you want to take this training. And, we're giving it to you so for free because we love you.
Kissing is one of the best things. So
Kissing,
go grab that.
So good.
Welcome to the Sex Reimagined podcast, where sex is shame-free and pleasure-forward. Let's get into the show.
Okay, the amazing world of peptides. It is taking the world by storm. Dr. Willow, break it down for us.
Here we go. First and foremost, I would like to put a disclaimer out that this episode is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any condition, nor replace personalized advice from your licensed healthcare provider.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Now, that said, let's talk about let's start with our desire, our libido. Everything changes as we go through different life stages, right? There's all kinds of things that can take our libido down. And when we start talking about peptides, we're talking about metabolism and inflammation quite a lot. Those are two big themes that are talked about in the peptide world. And metabolism, when I think about that word, I think about how well am I metabolizing my food, the supplements I'm taking, how well am I metabolizing my workload, how well am I digesting and assimilating everything that's coming at me in life, including my emotions and the way that I feel about relationships in my life. So metabolism is really all about how we digest, how we assimilate our sleep, our food, our supplements, everything that's going on in our life, including stress. How well are we handling or digesting our stress? And we really live in this highly inflamed world, this highly inflamed culture, right? And so it can be overwhelming. How are we digesting? And many of us aren't. Many of us have what's called dysbiosis, which is where our guts actually are not functioning optimally because of the environment that we're swimming in and all of the, sterilization that our world has gone through as a whole. And so peptides are actually endogenous, meaning that they are made inside of your body. They're made inside of your gut. However, because again, our systems and especially our microbiome in our gut is so deficient, we're not making enough of those peptides as we go through these different life stages, such as hormonal shifts during andropause and menopause, stress, loss of loved ones, imbalances within our relationships, and all kinds of other things, financial stress. I mean, the gamut is vast and wide.
Yeah, think about all the times in your life where you feel like your vitality is just lagging. Like you don't feel bright and shiny. You don't feel like you're glowing. You don't feel attractive. You don't feel desirable. You're in the slog. You're going through the motions. You go to work. You come home. You eat dinner. You watch TV. You go to bed. And that ends up being the weekday. And so many of us want more from life than that. And I feel like part of what this episode is really going to break down for you is how to increase your vitality so that you can feel more, so you can have more sensation in your body, so you feel like you've got that inside glow, that inside light that magnetizes adventure into your life, sex into your life, beautiful relationships, heartfelt moments, like all of these things. You don't think gut health would equal necessarily.
Sexy time.
Yeah.
But it does.
For many of us, it's hard to bridge that gap. But we now know that health isn't just one part of our body, it is lifestyle. And so we're wanting to give you more and more clues into how to have a more holistic life so that your sex life is something you have well into your old age. You've got to be asking yourself, when did my parents stop having sex? How old was my dad when he stopped having erections? I mean, you may not want to know that, but the truth is you should probably know that. Because it could
That's some epigenetic
clues.
information right there.
Right? Like, when did your mom just say, I'm done?
I'm done. Yeah.
Was it in her 50s when she's going through menopause? Did she stop having sex by her 60s? Is that what you want for yourself? So I think these are actually really valid questions to bring to a sex podcast, even though we're starting with gut health.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, and so here's what I want to say about peptides is there are actually, so they're basically, I like to think of them as like these little jumper cables for your system, right? So we get taken down, our metabolism gets taken down, our libido gets taken down by all these different illnesses, stresses, mold toxicity, hormonal changes, everything in life, right? And so we start to just not have the resource and the energy within our systems to have sexy time, to have libido. And so a peptide basically is a short chain of amino acids. And what is an amino acid? It is the protein. It is a building block for the proteins in your body, which is how your DNA replicates itself, right? So it's like the source of all life is amino acids. And, many of us are not eating enough protein in our diet to even get the amount of amino acid support that our body needs to make. And then our guts aren't doing the job. So peptides, when taking them exogenously, meaning coming from outside the body, especially when taking them in an injectable format, they actually get to bypass the gut. So then they're going into your body and they're working like jumper cables because you've got these little receptor sites. I like to think of them as like, little Pac-Mans sitting on your cell wall. And these little receptor sites are like, I'm hungry. I need these amino acids. And so these chains of amino acids called peptides, sometimes called molecules, they go into these receptor sites. And then the cell is like satiated. The cell's like, oh, I got the PT141 I needed now. I feel like getting frisky, so it's really quite a phenomenal time to be in the peptide space and to be seeing so many radical health changes in people. I personally feel like what this movement is and what it's doing is it's giving people their energy, their life, their capacity to think back. It is really, really supporting people who are going through brain fog. I mean, if we can't think, if we don't have energy, we cannot do the work we need to do in the world to help heal the culture and the planet, and so it's just been great to see, big communities of people just jumping on board and getting their personal systems rebalanced, like lowering the inflammation levels all throughout their body and having their metabolic function restored so that they can go back out into the world and offer their gifts.
I think for those people who are new to peptides or feel hesitant about peptides, you've probably already had a peptide. If you've ever had collagen powder in your tea or coffee, that's a peptide.
And, there's different ways that you can ingest them. You can ingest them orally. One of the most popular peptides on the market is for weight loss. It's the GLP-1. And, Ozempic and these other Mounjaro, these bigger pharma company and brand names have really popularized the GLP-1s for weight loss. What the problem seems to be is they are resetting people's metabolic function, but they're overdosing. Those little receptor sites on the cells are getting overwhelmed with too much. So dosage is really, really crucial. And there's a whole, movement around microdosing GLP-1s, which I've definitely played with myself, and it has made a massive difference for me because I'm not somebody who had any weight to lose.
Right.
But what I had to lose was bloating and inflammation. And I
Right.
can't tell you how much better my digestive system is functioning now that all of that inflammation is gone. And there was no diet or anything or any other way that I could have gotten to that lower level of inflammation that is now allowing me to heal, the seat of hormonal balance, which is your gut, in such a deep way.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who's watched you over the years struggle with like, if I eat this, is it going to hurt my body? If I eat this, is it going to create all these complications to your digestion? And so it was like you were on one restrictive thing to another restrictive thing to another restrictive thing, all because of how much discomfort you felt due to inflammation in your gut. And so to be able to watch this inflammation disappear, watch this bloating disappear, and then watching the freedom to eat the variety of beautiful foods available to you. I mean, the fact that you never wanted to eat cauliflower, for crying out loud.
I still don't eat cauliflower,
Okay, what's
but I
another
might
example?
try it soon.
You should test it. It's a delicious vegetable.
I know, totally. Well, I mean, we just traveled Greece and Portugal, and you saw
Yeah.
how like culinarily
Freedom.
inspired I was, based on being able to digest so much more. So that's been just huge for me personally. I think I want to dive right into the sexual health peptides because there's different ones.
Real quick
before we
before
go
you
there.
start talking,
Yeah.
targeting that, because I actually do think that the weight loss peptides are relevant to sexual
Yeah.
health.
Oh, for sure.
Because when you feel bloated, when you've got inflammation, when you feel overweight, when you feel sluggish, you don't feel very desirable. You're
You
not
don't feel
quick to drop your
sexy.
clothes and get it on. You feel uncomfortable. You don't feel like you're very flexible to get into different lovemaking positions. I mean, there's some actual real things that I don't think people, I think they do think about it, but they don't bridge it
Yeah.
to the potential of what peptides can do. Not that we're here just trying to sell you on peptides. That's not the agenda of this episode. It's
No.
to bridge why it's important for your sexuality. So now tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about the peptides that are directed to sex
Yeah.
or libido or hormones, whatever.
Yeah. GLP-1s are one of the, most, that one that is being used for weight loss. Another thing what brought up for me, what you just said is like, not only will it help to heal take the inflammation down so that your gut can heal, that's also going to heal any imbalances in the microbiota of your mouth, of your vagina, of your skin. I mean, we are made up of billions of microbiome, millions of microbiota, and just like a fraction of that is cellular makeup. So it's just fascinating to kind of see from a different perspective. So yeah, GLP-1s definitely, not only are they going to make you, leaner and lighter and feel sexier in your body, but they're also going to help you heal at that deeper microbial level, which is pretty exciting in my view.
You know what's been interesting for me that I've noticed with the weight loss peptides is how much it decreases your desire for sugar.
Yes.
I've been off them for a little while, and my sweet tooth came
Is
roaring
back
back.
on,
Now
yeah.
it's like, yeah, I like a little something sweet, but it's really just to clear my palate. I don't
Yeah.
need to eat a lot. I want one or two bites of ice cream. I want
Yeah.
a little bit of fruit. I'm
Yeah.
not gorging myself on it. It's so interesting to be back on and notice the brain talk, the food talk that goes on and what your desire for certain things are. And a lot of people are seeing progress with addictions. So sugar addiction,
Huge.
alcohol
Huge.
addiction, your
Yes.
desire for state changes kind of quiets a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working with amino acid therapies for decades now, and it was how I, originally got off sugar. and spent years off of sugar, how I got out of depression and spent years, as the happiest person I knew. And it was supplemental amino acids like glutamine and, all these like tyrosine and all of these different peptides that you can just get like on the shelves at the grocery store. But with the peptide therapies, I've been able to see such a deeper and more lasting results. So I think that's a huge piece, is just cutting out those sugar cravings. They use the word food noise quite a lot in the peptide space. And it's not just sugar cravings, but it's like, oh, I need to eat something. I need to fill myself up with something more. It gives you an opportunity to fill yourself up with yourself. For me, it's such a spiritual thing,
Yeah.
So, and then there's all these other layers that we need to be taking care of as well, like, getting our vitamins and our minerals, essential fatty acids, weight training, tons of protein. All of these things are essential. We don't just inject ourselves.
Right.
We're supporting, and we're doing it all as a whole. We've got to start thinking about ourselves as an ecosystem. Like, my single solitary body is an ecosystem. So it's not just about fixing the gut. It's about all of it. It's not just about fixing the libido. If the libido is broken, it's about all of it. So, start to think of yourself as a rainforest. Before we get into the sexual health peptides that actually boost your libido, I would say, hormones is something that a lot of people are getting on as well. A hormone replacement therapy, whether it's bioidentical or synthetic. And a lot of women going through peri and postmenopause are seeing like, wow, it's brought my libido back. It's brought my energy back. I no longer have all the joint pain and brain fog that was taking me down. And so what I'm learning right now is that peptides can actually support and make any hormone replacement therapy that you're taking work 10 times better. So
Really?
potentially you might not need as much. So again, we're always looking for our divine right dose with peptides and hormones, because it's all about putting puzzle pieces together where the body is no longer providing that part of the puzzle. Sometimes the question comes through like, well, are peptides and hormones the same thing? And sometimes they are, because a hormone is basically a signaling molecule, as is a peptide. However, hormones are produced by the glands. So they're chemical messengers that coordinate complex processes across the different parts of the body, different glands, different organ systems, and they really support similar things that peptides support, like metabolism, reproduction, mood, growth. Peptides are not coming from the glands. They are chains of amino acids, often coming from the gut and different places in the bodies. So peptides are these short chains of amino acids, and these sometimes also act the same as hormones do. So peptides are sometimes, acting the same way as a hormone, but not always. So it varies. And, the PT141, which is the most popular peptide for libido, is actually working on your brain. This one has, these have been really popularized by some of the bigger podcasts out there, like Joe Rogan. I know Jennifer Aniston, some other celebrities out there are really talking more openly about what they've seen shift inside of their own bodies. And this particular one is working on the brain. Whereas what we see, like if a man is suffering from ED and he goes to Cialis, or he goes to, what's the name of it?
Viagra.
Or he goes to Viagra, that is basically supporting more blood flow to his genitals, not working on the places in the brain that, like the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, that really support your sense of desire and drive. So what I love about this one is it's working on the brain, getting you more intrigued, more into a higher desire state, but it's also going to help your sensation be bolstered up and your sense of arousal. So Leah and I are always teaching people about the arousal scale and how, for a lot of men, they'll go from a 0. Leah, why don't you talk about the arousal scale for a second?
A brief sort of explanation of the arousal scale is think of 1 to 10. 1 being, I kind of feel horny, kind of interested. 10 being, I've ejaculated, or I've had a clitoral orgasm. And, a lot of guys, normal is to go from a 5, a 6, or a 7 and then jump to 10. So it's like your launch pad is like, ooh, I'm at a 7, then suddenly I'm at a 10. For guys with little or no control, they're going from like a 1.5 or a 2 and jumping to 10. And then you've got guys who have a hard time reaching climax altogether. They're hovering at like a 4 and feeling pretty frustrated and they don't get to 10. And basically what that means is everyone's missing 8 and 9. And 8 and 9 is where like the big time ecstasy is. It's where those transcendent experiences occur. So take it away, Willow.
Yeah, so that's what's so exciting about the PT141 is it actually supports your brain to hold those higher levels of arousal. It actually supports your whole body and your whole system to be able to stretch those higher levels of arousal out longer. And it's been really cool to watch people in my communities express like, wow, oh my God, I went from having 0 libido to having the best orgasms of my life.
Yeah.
And just from taking the peptide, they're not studying Tantra. They're not really doing,
Well,
breath
even the people
work.
that are, I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
Charles will mind me saying this, is he's been doing PT41 for a while now, and he loves it. He goes, I feel like I've got a boner from my teenage years. I'm driving down the street and I get an erection for no reason at all.
Yeah.
It's a part of himself that he has missed. And he
Yeah.
knows how to do all the cultivation things, but he's
Totally.
almost 80 years old. He just
Exactly.
turned 78.
Right.
So to be able to, and he's got diabetes, he's got all sorts of reasons to have somewhat of a lagging libido.
Mm-hmm.
All of his Tantra work for the last 50 years has supported him in being someone who's making love in his older age. But this PT41 is like, holy shit, I have more volunteer erections. My erections are harder. And that's just a thrill. That's very exciting for someone whose sexuality has been so important. And for a lot of men, the fear of losing a connection to that is devastating. When those erections start to slow down and they may be able to get one, but they can't maintain one. So to have your desire and your oomph come back, man, it's filled with joy again.
Yeah, it's basically like flipping the switch on your desire. It's so much more than just pumping more blood flow to the genitals, and it's
Though that may be very
fantastic.
important. Like having a combination is the two going together. You may, if you're really having problems with erections, you may still need your penis pump or your cock ring and PT41.
There are products out there that combine a little bit of Cialis with the PT141 as well. And so, that could be the ticket for you. So it's just exciting. There have been some clinical studies. One of the things about peptides is they haven't been studied for a long time. Although insulin is one of the oldest peptides that has been used for hundreds of years now or over 100 years at least. And it's really, it works really well. It does the trick. It does the job. And so they're starting to do more studies. I imagine in the field of these studies, it's like it's a very exciting field to be in.
Well, I do think it's fair to mention that the people who have tried it and have not liked it, it's because it can cause a feeling of being a little nauseous. When your stomach feels a little upset, I haven't heard of many people throwing up on it, but when your stomach feels a little upset, it's hard to feel sexy. I have tried it as a woman a couple of times. Okay. One time it was really fun and really sexy. Another time it was just kind of a little bit of an upset tummy. Kind of felt it like a little in my tummy, a little bit in the back of my throat where it was like, like I want to feel sexy, but really I just want to lay down. And it's like, I need someone else to try to do something to distract me from this weird sensation in my body. It wasn't a super strong sensation, but it was like a low level distraction. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
And that was the
that's pretty common.
PT141?
Yeah.
And it was the
And I
same
would
dose
try it
that
again.
you took both times?
Yeah, and I would try it
Interesting.
again and probably
Yeah.
again because I do
Yeah.
think you have to find that sort of that dose
The
that
right
is
dose.
right. Too
Yeah.
little, don't feel much. I might want to try a little bit more. Sometimes you can feel nauseous with too little. So I
Yeah.
think it's definitely, I think that's the thing that's going to be the most frustrating for people, honestly, is we don't want to be on an experimental roller coaster with these things. We want to be given it straight. Just tell me what's going to be safe and
Yeah.
effective, and I just want to do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, peptides aren't that straightforward quite yet.
Well, one thing that I always tell people is start low and slow. Like if you are given a dosage, like if your prescribed dosage is, let's say, 50 units, start with 25, start with half of what you're prescribed. Because when you are doing injectables through the company that I work with, you get to choose how much you put into that syringe, right? It's up to you, which is
Right.
really
Not all of them are like that. Some
not
of them
all
are
of
already
them are like that.
pre-measured. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but take matters into you are your own best doctor. I really believe that. And that's all about listening to your body and really
And get advice from others,
dropping
like
in. Yeah.
don't listen to this episode for the first time and then go headlong into peptides. Talk to other people, get advice,
Come
to
talk to
medical
me.
professionals, call
Come
Willow.
talk to me because I have
Yeah.
a lot of experience and information at this point. The studies that are being done, though, they took 1,200 premenopausal women, so not in peri yet,
Okay.
before
Still
that.
having
So
regular periods.
yeah, probably like 35 to 45, and about half of those women taking PT141 reported super real improvement in their desire compared
Great.
with about 1 in 5 on the placebo, and more than half reported greater satisfaction compared to about a quarter who were on the placebo. So that means that we're not just talking about theory, we're actually seeing real changes in women's lives. And again, just simply doing hormone replacement therapy could also make these changes in your body. However, doing the peptides in adjunct with those hormones is going to just give those extra jumper cables to your body in such a powerful way.
Now, staying with PT41, this isn't something that you would do just once a week and then it stays in your bloodstream. You do PT41, before you're going to be sexual. And it can last in your system from, a few hours to a few more hours than that. It's not something that like you take as a supplement. It's not something you necessarily take every day. It's more of a situational peptide. Whereas like the weight loss peptides, you take it once a week on the same day every week. Your body does build a tolerance. So each peptide probably has different instructions on how to make
absolutely.
use of it.
Yeah, they all definitely come with instructions.
And there's lots of experimental stuff. Like I recently was looking up at my peptide company. I've got 2 that I keep an eye on. And, I'm reading, like, they got a whole list of the metabolic peptides, and some of them seem a little sketchy. Like, the research is too new. So I like to stay, the ones that are most popular.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like to work with the ones that are FDA approved and not in the research grade category, just to be safe. There's going to be contraindication almost for all peptides when it comes to pregnancy, just because there's not enough research and you want to tread on the side of caution. And also with cancer, however, there is one that is really actually going to be great for cancer. So I'm not going to touch that topic today at all, but
There's some
there's
hope out there.
so many peptides out there, and it's just been really powerful to watch people, change the way that they are functioning in the world. So there's a couple of other peptides that I want to mention that are for sexual health and wellness. These are more for reproductive health and sexual maturation. So gonadorelin, that one will, really support reproductive health in such a powerful way. So for those who are trying to get pregnant, you can
For both
check
men
into
and
that.
women?
Both men and women. And then kisspeptin does a very similar thing to gonadorelin, but it also stimulates libido on top of the reproductive health. So
Nice.
that could be useful for some of you out there. Oxytocin is a hormone, but also comes in this, peptide form. And oxytocin, as we know, is the love hormone. It's the bonding hormone. It reduces stress. It helps to manage pain. It improves mood. And there's so much that you can do to bring natural oxytocin alive in your own body. But if you feel like you need a boost and you need some jumper cables, then you can get it in this injectable format as well.
Yeah, I've been curious about that one. It does feel like there's so many easy ways to get oxytocin hits. It seems sort of, when I've looked at it in a catalog, I'm like, why would someone need that when it's pretty easy to but maybe for some people it's not. Finding a husband may not be easy for everybody.
Yeah,
having eye contact may not be easy for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got all the tantric tricks to stimulate our own natural oxytocin, but many people are not utilizing those tricks.
Especially if you've been suffering from depression maybe for a long time.
Exactly. I mean, depression is one of the things that I hear about a lot when I'm doing my peptide webinars for my community. Is like, we've got a bunch of different practitioners on there speaking, and so many of them are like, man, I felt like I needed to get on antidepressants. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for somebody who's never had to do that before in life, it can feel,
scary.
It can feel like a lot. It can feel scary. And so they've been able to avoid that with peptides. I've seen people be able to avoid surgeries, heal from surgeries, correct autoimmune issues, heal gut wall lining, release crazy nerve pain and joint pain. I myself had nerve pain in my left neck for about 7 months, and nothing was doing anything about it. Chiropractic and acupuncture, nothing was touching it. But the BPC 157 TB500 stack, which means 2 peptides together in one medication, that got rid of my pain in 7 days after 7 months of being in severe pain. So it was pretty radical. I was really excited about that. There's peptides that will address, biofilms in your gut wall lining, which is one of the huge things that keeps you from healing your gut. There's peptides for skin repair and skin tightening. So Leah mentioned earlier about, putting collagen peptides in your tea.
Peptides are in so many beauty products these days. Peptide serums for the face up the wazoo. Peptide.
Totally. And it's definitely a buzzword. The GHK-Cu, when taking that as an injectable, it's actually going to support the endogenous collagen peptides that your body's already making, and make whatever you're taking orally and exogenously function 10 times better. So
that's good to know. What's that one called?
It's called GHK Copper.
Cool.
And it, will help with elastin, extracellular matrix, which is the skin's surface. So really helps with tightening the skin, reducing wrinkles, and also age spots, sunspots, all that kind of stuff will start to disappear. Yeah. We did a whole episode on the importance of sleep for libido. And there's one called Delta Sleep Inducing Peptide, DSIP. And that supports the HPA axis, which is the 2 glands in your brain, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and your adrenal glands down in your low back. So the HPA axis can get really wiped out when we are in a hyper, cortisol flushing all the time state where we're stressed and we're in that fight or flight state all the time. That's definitely going to take out your sleep and your libido and your mood. So DSIP can be really, really supportive for restoring that HPA axis so you can get good sleep. There's so many more peptides, and we could go on and on. There's some to help you build lean muscle, to clear the fat around your organ systems so that your organ systems can function better.
What's the name of that one?
Well, there's 2. There's tesamorelin and ipamorelin. Sometimes those are stacked together. There's also samorelin. So all of those ones are really great for energy and performance.
Can you take too many different peptides at once? Like
That's a
so
good
many of
question.
these sound so great. I'm like,
Yeah, you're like,
okay,
hit me with them all.
Yeah, like why wouldn't I want to take 10 of these?
Right, totally.
I'm curious.
That's a good question. And, I think like anything, you want to monitor yourself and go low and slow to begin with. If you feel like, okay, I'm doing good on a low dose of GLP-1, let me add some Somorelin so that the weight training that I'm doing works 10 times better and I can actually see my muscles more. Then you add that, and then you're like, well, I'd like a little skin tightening too, so let me get the GHK copper. I feel like for me personally, I don't really like to go more than 3 at a time. And I've gotten to a point now where I will stack them all in the same syringe. So
Yeah.
instead of doing multiple pokes into my little belly skin every day, I'll put I'll put a little bit
You
of
combine 'em.
GLP-1 and BP157 in the same syringe. And that's fine, I have found for myself. So everyone that I'm kind of coaching through the peptide journey, I am always, having them go low and slow, little by little, test things out on yourself because they are injections, so they're going in. Once they're in, they're in. However, the good thing about peptides is they have a short shelf life. So they're not staying in there and lasting for a long, long time. That's why some of them we need to take every 3 days or once a week, because they have a short shelf life. From what I gather and from what I've researched, which has been quite a lot of study at this point, they are safe, totally safe. And they really just act like jumper cables on your system. Just because, we just need a leg up sometimes in this world. It's a bit overwhelming and it's highly inflammatory. So we just need a little boost in order to get ourselves going. They are meant to be pulsed. They are not meant to be on long-term, constantly, permanently. Unlike hormone replacement therapy, you are meant to take breaks and get off of them. And you don't have to come back to them at all. Like you might take 2 rounds of the GHK copper and then you're done and you never do it again. And that would be fine. Your system wouldn't have any adverse reactions to that.
Okay. So, normally I would put, these lists into the show notes. I'm not going to do that. It's too much.
Yeah.
And your best bet, honestly, is just to have a consultation with Willow anyways, so that you can get some individual attention. You can ask her your questions. You can tell her where you want support and she can explain all this to you. So how do people find you to start this journey?
Well, you can go to my website, drwillowbrown.com, and there is a little button at the top that says book a free consult. So,
okay. And I'll put that link in the show notes. I'll also put a link for the episode with Dr. Judson. We talked a little bit about PT141. He's an endocrinologist and a men's health expert and doctor, and he's got a bunch of other credentials. You'll hear it all on the episode. So you can get his take on this too. I think that was an informed conversation. And also I'll put the link for that free kissing training that were offered you at the top of the hour.
yeah, and let us know, what you learned from that kissing training, because it's so funny. We were chatting before we pushed record and I was like, I don't think people know when they're not a good kisser. I don't think people walk around going like, gosh, I wish I was a better kisser, because you don't know what you don't know, right? We're all in the dark with what we're in the dark about. And so I just would be so curious to hear in the comments wherever you're watching or listening this podcast, or shoot us an email, support@sexreimagined.com, if you learn something new and you get a new nugget about tantric kissing from that training.
Cool. Yeah. And please join us. We have a free summit coming up on February 11th and February 12th with 17 different sexperts in the industry who are all going to teach something really cool to our audience. It's live, but it's also super binge worthy. We have a short replay window if you can't make it with us live. And we'll put a link in the show notes for that as well. We're really excited to offer that to our audience.
All right, everyone. Much love.
Love, love, love.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was hosted by Tantric Sex Master Coach and Positive Psychology Facilitator Leah Piper, as well as by Chinese and Functional Medicine Doctor and Taoist Sexology Teacher Dr. Willow Brown. Don't forget, your comments, likes, subscribes, and suggestions matter. Let's realize this new world together.